Complimentary football, the name of the game, as we welcome in Pete Seymour from the Toledo Rocket Radio Network. Pete, thanks for joining us.
Mark, good to be back. Thanks for having me.
Trip out to Washington State did not go as the Rockets planned. Lost to the Cougars, and now they got some time to think about it for their next game.
Yeah, absolutely. And first thing to note, good to have that mini bye again. Get some of those guys healed up. You need to. Everybody's really banged up at this point of year, but get some of those guys healthy, get back, and right back to conference play. And it's midweek MACtion, 7 o'clock game, NIU, and what a rivalry that's been over the past few years.
Yeah, they wanted to sell out the Glass Bowl, really show out what Toledo football is all about and how well the community supports UT football. We'll talk more about that next week. You mentioned the injuries. Certainly it's taken their toll at the running back position for the Rockets.
Yeah, absolutely. No Chip Trainum this past week. No update on him yet. John Allen Richter, I've heard he is progressing. Still no official update on him. Kenji Christian, though, another nice game. Again, just some bumps and bruises offensively and defensively. But, hey, that's what this time's for. You get back. We got back very early Sunday morning. It was about 3 a.m., but I know the coaches were right back in the office at 7. They have practice that day, and then the players get a little bit of rest, because what I've really learned in talking to players throughout my time doing this, Mark, is they have really emphasized that recovery process, and especially talking from a freshman to a senior, they really hammer home how important it is on these days and weeks where you have a few extra hours to just rest that body.
We talked about it last week, how Washington State wanted to get a lead and then bleed the clock, and that's mostly worked for the Cougars, although in that second half, they passed the ball a few times, and Braden Knowles made a huge difference. 2 more interceptions for the Central Catholic grad, but unfortunately that Rocket offense just could not capitalize on those turnovers.
Yeah, and a lot of the scoring in this game coming in the second quarter, which was really interesting. Of course, the Cougars able to get a late score at the end of it, but yeah, how about Braden Knowles? 4 picks in his last 3 games. He is seeing the ball extremely well, and heck, we know, Mark, ever since high school, he has just had a knack for finding the football. This secondary, it's been a strong suit. We've talked about it all year, but Braden Knowles over these past 3 games is really stepping up in a big way. But no, you're right. The offense really just couldn't get rolling, and it wasn't a game, much like most of them this year, Mark, where the talent on each side was very similar. There were so many chances for the Rockets in this game to be able to pull it out. A catch here, a catch there, a conversion here. They weren't very good on 4th down, weren't very good on 3rd down. When you're playing a team that's very good, it comes down to those little minute details, and the Cougs were better on that day.
And it's really come down to a Rocket season that's teetering. It can go one or 2 ways here. They can right the ship and finish strong, perhaps backdoor their way to Detroit, get a nice bowl game, or if they don't get these opportunities, take advantage of these opportunities in games, we could be looking at the consecutive streak of non-losing seasons coming to an end.
Yeah, and you really don't even want to think about that yet, do you, Mark? But you're right. This is a huge stretch of the season coming up, getting back into MAC play. And let's start with NIU. I know we'll talk about it a little bit more come next week, but this is a rivalry that goes back for so long, especially when there were divisions in the MAC. You know, it was a battle every single time between these 2 schools, so we know NIU is going to come to the Glass Bowl. They're going to bring it, but you look on later in that schedule, in that Central Michigan game, that's circled for me. I mean, there's some big matchups here, and you're right. The Rockets have to take it 1 game at a time, process-oriented, process-driven, go get the Huskies, move on to the next week, because you really have to go 4-0 now, because you need some help from other conference teams, frankly.
Well, and the fact that they do play Miami, that's going to be a potential game that could really help out the Rockets, as the Red Hawks are leading the league right now. The missed opportunities, where does that come back to?
You know, that's a great question, and it comes back to the small details. Again, just some things that we haven't seen all year. A couple guys just dropping passes, and they're not just dropping passes, it's passes that could have been turned in to bigger gains or even touchdowns, and kind of in key moments of the game too. So again, I think they come back this week, focus on those really small details and get some guys in front of the jugs machine. But like I said, the opportunities were there this past week for Toledo, and talking to guys earlier in the week, they didn't feel like they were outmatched really at any position. Malachi Davis on the defensive line, he was a monster for the first few series, had a really nice game, a couple tackles for a loss. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, 13 tackles, which means the defensive line's doing their job and letting the safety come downhill and make some tackles. And give credit to the Cougars, though. They were really good in that second quarter at spreading out the Toledo defense in a strong suit all year. The really good linebackers they have, Kavion Shervin, Chris Apollonia, 2 new guys that have been really good. But what they did is they spread out the linebackers a little bit and got that run game going up the middle. And the quarterback, he was also a mobile guy. Arm wasn't the best they've seen all year, but kept the Toledo defense off balance. And you said it earlier, they got to the point in the game where they got that lead. They had 3 really good running backs.
I'm glad you brought up Malachi Davis because, as you mentioned, he's coming on strong. Where have you seen him improve over this season?
His pass rush is fantastic, and I was able to catch up with him earlier this week, and he's our player profile coming up for this NIU game, and he talked a little bit about that. And the one thing that I noticed on the sideline, he started rushing with his hand up as a defensive end. He would not put his hand down, and I asked him about that. I said, hey, is that like a package, or is that something you guys put in? And he said, honestly, it's based on matchups, and whatever matchup it is, it helps out the guys around me more because I'm standing there with my hand up, taking a little bit more of attention, letting the linebackers come downhill. And like I said, he looked really good, and the defensive line looked really good. So yeah, Malachi, he has really came on strong this year, but when you play behind guys like Darius Alexander and some of the other really good defensive linemen that have came out of Toledo over the past few years, you expect that from a group that didn't have a ton of starts under their belt, but had a lot of experience.
Rockets get to rest up from a trip that had some logistical challenges as they're back at home off this weekend. But then midweek MACtion kicks off with Toledo and NIU. I want to thank Pete Seymour from the Toledo Rocket Radio Network. Thanks, Pete.
Mark, thanks for having me as always. Go Rockets.